Thanks so much for joining us. This is MeWe Metaphysics and Wellness Fairs for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. We have events throughout the Northwest, through the expanding Northwest, and we have lots of events online. Tonight is our Online Awakening panel. There are 7 practitioners on the panel tonight, and actually I'm going to spotlight us. I'm remembering now that I decided that that was a good thing to do at these events. So let's get us all up here on the spotlight. All of our panels have themes, and tonight's theme is imbuing with energy and magic. So all the practitioners that are here today, everyone else more so than me, but everyone is so familiar with imbuing with energy and magic. And we're going to be talking about the theme a little bit, introduce ourselves, talk about the theme, and then we'll be answering questions from the audience. We can take questions on anything, and it's great to address something from this perspective of imbuing energy and magic. It might be something specifically about imbuing energy and magic in your life. It's a great opportunity for all of us to learn together, explore together. For those of you in the audience and all the practitioners here, we get to do this too. We get to practice further expanding our intuition together as we answer questions in the field together, learning and hearing how we all open, what we tap into, and being able to discover more in ourselves, to trust the messages that are coming through. All right. Well, let's see. So I think we can get started with doing the introductions, and then I'll do some things to set the container before we start answering questions. So practitioners, maybe let's see if we all, let's do our best to just share about ourselves first. So take a couple of minutes to share just about you, and then we'll talk about the theme, imbuing with energy and magic, afterwards. I think that to some extent we can all do that and talk about in general what we do in our work first. I did not check to see if we have specials from everyone, and I'm going to get ready to post those in the chat in a moment. And just maybe I'll say, Lisa, if you have one, if you want to send me, and Viana and Tammi, yeah, if you have them you want to send me, go ahead, do that, and I'll add those in the next round. All right, well, let's see. So maybe let's start in a different place this time. So maybe Tammi, do you feel okay going first? I have Tammi and Raquel share. All right. Yeah, take a couple of minutes or so and share just about you and all the great things that you do.
Okay. My name is Tammi Morrison, and I always start this because I always want people to know I'm a wife, a mother, and a grandmother. I'm actually a Reiki master. I have like certifications in all of these things, all types of energy healing. I fell in love with the metaphysical, so I started back to school in that area. So I'm actually going back to school to get my degree in that. I also love to work with women, especially that have been through a lot of transition in their life, because most of us, especially once we get to middle age, I guess, maybe probably even really before, but most of us have been through different type of transitions, different traumas and stuff like that. And there are times when people, have problems moving forward. And so that really is my jam. I help people to do that. And I also love to work with people in the healing arts, because what I notice is that a lot of people work with people that are healers, but they're more counselors and all that kind of stuff. And for me, I dive directly into the healing portion of it. So we actually get into, aligning the chakras, establishing who they are, because a lot of times people are at a place in their life where they've been so many different things, but they have no idea who they are. And so that is one of the things that God has called me to do, is to work with people to help them to be the best version of themselves. You can find me on Facebook at Tammi Morrison, also on Unleashing Your True Self, which is my business page. You can find me on TikTok as Tammi Morrison. You can find me on YouTube as Tammi Morrison. You can Google me, and you can find me almost everywhere. I have a 6-week program, Journey to Radical Acceptance, that I'm taking beautiful ladies into. It starts in May. I also have a special session for this platform. It's the Spirit Awakening session. So I actually included it already on the chat. And I think that's it. Oh, I'm also an author too, 3 times published author.
Great. Thanks so much, Tammi. Raquel, tell us about all you do.
Unmute myself. Okay. Oh, hi everyone. What did I do? I always talk about how I became. Lately, it's been who I'm becoming. And I realize that a lot of people are becoming who they want to be. And I walk with you I intertwine my modalities that are Reiki master that I got when I was about 2010. And 2019, I wanted to tap into doing Akashic Records reading because I always was very curious about past life readers. Then when I got into Akashic Records reading, I realized that it had everything to do with how we can walk on this earth now. And it wasn't always about the past and how we can bring that forward now. And then I started tapping into I am you and you are me. And my pineal opened and whoa. And then I realized we are more than this vehicle, more than this body. We are amazing, magical beings. And I'm tapped in and I want to share that with you because whatever knowledge I know, I want to share that knowledge with you. So about 10 years ago, I started doing Akashic Records reading and practitioner, soul practitioner. And I intertwined that and combined that with my tarot card reading. So I go by DoveLight on my YouTube. I wanted to give myself a spiritual name because I realized that we, the people that I see their light, I see their joy, I see their happy, I see their gifts, I see who they are, I see the magic in everyone. And I now have an opportunity where you can walk with me and I can walk with you and for 6 weeks and awakening to your magic within you. And you can find all that lovely information on my website at justbetoday.com. So I'm really just honored and happy to be here around all these other magical beings that have come here this evening. And 7, we use this a powerful number. 7 sevens keeps popping up every day for me lately. So I want to say thank you. And I just am so honored. And thank you, Laureli, for bringing on this lovely light that we can all kind of tap into. And so that way we can share our light and be the light for others to share their light. So here we are, the magic of that. No,
Great. Thank you so much for being here and all of nature that's here with you too. It's great fun.
Waka, the lovely parrot.
That's great. All right. Maybe Viana and then Lisa and then Anissa and DoveLight. So yeah, Viana.
Hi, I'm Viana Fox, and I started out in this profession in the mid-70s doing mind-body work, and it kept evolving and evolving. And since I'm in my mid-80s, my body says, I don't want to do that so much anymore. So I have certified myself in different areas to teach people through movement, through meditation, how to connect to your subtle being friends, how to connect to your guardian angel and the she. And most people don't know who the she are, but they're ancient people who have lived above the earth since before the cave people. And then when the cave people came, they started killing them and eating them. So they moved a little lower, and they're very close to like us. And there's so many other subtle beings like the underbuddies and the fairies. And so I help people learn how to be their authentic self through movement, meditation, and I have so many other ways that I work. I have a long list. And you can connect with me at Viana-motion.com. And thank you for coming.
That's great. And I know you probably might talk about this more when we talk about the theme, but could you say just a tiny little bit about the subtle beings too?
Talk a little more about the subtle beings?
Yeah, just a little bit more.
Well, one of them, first of all, I am part of a subtle being activation group where we get together and we help bring the subtle beings in to help, with, well, we did for a long time, we worked with the election, and the subtle beings are all around us all the time. Everybody has a guardian angel. People don't realize that, but your guardian angel is assigned to your soul. And no matter what form you're in, the guardian angel always stays with your soul. And one of the subtle beings that I love to work with are called underbuddies. And they're these little beings that go around and they shift the energy. And if you don't employ them, if you don't give them a job, then they get into mischief and they start doing things. You find things, you're missing things in your house, and all these little things start happening. So I help people learn how to employ the subtle beings around them. And the angels want to be employed. And all the plant divas and the fairies, they're around here to help. And a lot of them have come closer to the earth at this time because they're very concerned about what's happening with the earth. So I hope that's helpful.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much. Sweet. All right, Lisa, if you're ready, I think you're next, or you could probably switch it up.
Sure.
great.
No, I'm ready. Thank you, Laureli. Hey, Mystics. I'm Lisa Stewart of Co-Create Magic. I'm a creative mixed medium and an intuitive business guide. This would include modalities as a seer, a medium, channeler, energy healer, and animal communicator. Tonight, I'm excited to be a part of the Imbuing Energy and Magic panel with Laureli and all the other wonderful practitioners tonight. I'm on a mission to show mystical people how to find the courage to co-create their magic. Finding courage means reconnecting with their intuition to explore their personal magic that opens possibilities. Also, it helps to grow their confidence and their dreams. As a lifelong intuitive, I've always had one foot in another dimensional plane. Before coming out of the spiritual closet, I learned co-creating by accident. Today, I actively co-create with spirit. And I use making and craft as a magical gateway to open up those possibilities. Today, I mentor mystics, whether you're peeking out of the spiritual closet or starting your business, to co-create their magic. I leverage 40 or 30 years, sorry, not that old. I leverage 30 years of working with Fortune 100 companies and small businesses. I've designed and built several hundred products over the years, selling them worldwide for my brick and mortar and online. My work has been featured in major news stations and movies, and I've also authored several articles found in industry publications. This was all co-creating with spirit before I knew I was co-creating. And I use this experience to help you brand your magic, build your product lines, package your services to weather all storms, and market yourself in a feel-good way, all without the use of sorcery. And as a practitioner, an intuitive practitioner, I incorporate several modalities to help remove blocks so that you can be inspired to move forward again toward your potential. I offer readings, consulting, assorted workshops, and energy planners to track and measure possibilities to grow your business. So welcome to tonight's theme on imbuing energy and magic. My special is 10% off my personal energy system moon phase planners, both for personal and for comprehensive business. So you can find the link in the chat. It's just too wonky to outline here, but thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. And I hope that I can be of service on your journey.
Thanks so much, Lisa. Anissa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anissa Jade, an intuitive imagery reader and animal communicator. I'm fairly new to this, so I'll share a bit more about how I got here versus what I'm doing now. So I've always kind of been spiritual and a part of the metaphysical world to varying degrees throughout my life. As a child, I told my mother that I talked to angels. However, somewhere while growing up and conforming to society's norms and dealing with my genetic disorder, I lost connection to my own intuition and spirituality. I continued to be involved in the spiritual and metaphysical community as an observer. So I sought out tarot readers and mediums, intuitives, and more for my own healing and personal growth, but I wasn't actively being a practitioner. In 2019, I started working for MeWe and I immersed myself in the back end of the organization and I soaked up all I could from the events that were offered. And then in late 2019, I realized that I really wanted to get my intuition going again and become a practitioner. So with encouragement from a mentor, I frequently had sessions with, I started taking classes and took a mentorship, and now here I am today. I do intuitive imagery readings, like I mentioned. That's where I connect to your energy, and from your energy, I receive images, and from those images, then I interpret messages for you. And then I also connect to animals by sending them love, light, and energy, and hearing what they have to say. My website is anissajade.com. And my special tonight is reading by donations. And my cat Belvedere and I are just really happy to be here tonight. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it's so great that Belvedere is here joining us too. And Belvedere's in a proper seat tonight. You just never know where Belvedere is going to be.
Yes, I was gone for the weekend and my roommate wanted him to have a comfy, warmer spot since he couldn't snuggle up to me for warmth. So we put a heated cat bed up. He's very spoiled.
Yeah. Great, great. All right, DoveLight.
Hello, everybody. Hello. I'm DoveLight at DoveLightOracle.com, and I'm just a regular person. Really. I cannot stress that enough. Sometimes I cry, sometimes I laugh, sometimes I get sick, sometimes I'm okay. Sometimes I'm very with my family, and sometimes I just love to listen, just like a regular person. But as a regular person, I realize that we all have a connection with the divine, with spirit, with the creator, whatever that connection feels for you, whatever form it takes for you. I feel like as many of us in the spiritual community, or most of us, has become into challenges and tribulations growing up. And it wasn't until I was able to feel and see compassion and reconnect to my soul that I was to change my perception and acknowledge myself as a spiritual being, as a light, just like everybody else. But I took a journey. And through that journey, I was involved with ancestral healing, with past life regression. I was an intuitive person. I came from, my ancestors are from the Andes, from the Amazonian and the Andes from Peru. When I came here to this country, I was blessed to meet mentors from the north here. And I've been involved with mediumship and spiritualists and energy. It's a blessing that we are able to connect heaven on earth here in our ways, in our time, in our lives. And the way that I become more public was when one of my elders got a heart attack, and we have to start getting funds for her surgery, and that's why I became more public. Also, by that time, also the pandemic hit, and they were starting opening all the Zooms, meetups, tarot groups, and I always loved tarot. I'm an intuitive person, and when you have that connection to your soul, and I'm not special, I'm just like everybody else, so you can also do this. When you open your connection to your soul, to the divine, and you can trust that connection, you can trust yourself, you can read everything. You can read fire, water, you can read plants, you can read the pictures on the wall, you can read your iPhone, you can read anything. And I love tarot because I just love art as one of the things that I can read. The angelic realm came as guidance and protector, and they always show me or reminding me that there is love beyond your wildest imagination available to you. Just gotta be open, or believe that you're worth help, believe that you're worth loving. And that's what I do. I do offer shamanic practices. I do past life regression. I did shamanic. Did I say that already? It's not that I haven't been in a panda, so I have to get used to it again. I do love doing Boggle One crystal healing. It's amazing. That's from Dr. Marcel Vogel. And yeah, I just ask for. I just open to spirit, send me somebody, and if I can help them, I help, and if no, I can refer them or guide them. I just love being of service, honestly. I just being of service and help. And I love family constellations. At least once every month, I help support a family constellation. That's another name of the field of all knowing, which is the same as Akashic record, which is the same as the cloud for indigenous people in the Imagine. So there is this beautiful field that we all can access once we learn how to listen and go within. So, and yes, and for today's special, I got a coupon Spring for 20% off any session of choice. You can have a past life regression, ancestral healing. You can get a light of the soul retrieval. Perhaps we need to clear the course with compassion, or perhaps you need a shamanic reading. Also, the healing power of your voice. Your voice is very important. It's an extension of your soul, of your spirit. And the beauty about these panels is that we all have different backgrounds, different living experience, different ways to connect to spirit. So perhaps one of us might connect with somebody else or other things, but the thing is that it's important to be together at this time. It's important to keep learning from each other. If you become a spiritual person, intuitive person, or whatever you want to label or not, that doesn't mean that you're perfect and you know everything. That means that you just have another level of growing. So I just want to honor that, because we all growing at this time, perhaps different ways, but we all continue learning. And that's it for me for today. And I love that cat.
Thanks so much, DoveLight. And I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach, and matchmaker. So with my eye readings, I'm reading your eyes, just like I believe everyone reads eyes all the time. If you think about when you meet someone with dark sunglasses and you can't see their eyes, there's so much missing. And as soon as you see their eyes, there's so much there. We all take in a ton about each other. I use a set of archetypes that I call thrive types, archetypes for thriving, to help you better understand who you are, to be able to see more clearly your gifts that you share all the time that might be invisible because they're so easy for you. You imagine that they have no special value, and they do. They have lots of special value. So I help you better understand and love yourself, honor your purpose, make choices that honor your purpose. I use body psychology to help you move through lessons and blocks where you're stuck. So you listen more to your body, listen to the messages, and can utilize your body when you are stuck as ways of unwinding and shifting. And I love to use this work to answer questions about your purpose, career path, relationships. If you show me photos of other people or introduce me to other people. And I love to use it for matchmaking to help you find a soulmate or connect with anyone for whatever you're wanting to connect with someone for. It could be in your business. You want someone that's got natural great skills at something else, maybe another practitioner that's great at other things that you're not. Just ways to find each other. I connect people for friendship and housing and all kinds of different things. So that's me. You can find out more about me at LaureliShimayo.com. It's LaureliShimayo.com. And I'm intuitiveeyereading.com and matchmakingsoulmates.com. And I run all the MeWeFairs.com. Oh yeah, that's what I'm up to today. And it's going to be fun for me to see how much I have a sensitive, well, we're going to start talking about the theme in a second. Maybe let's, practitioners, anything else about yourselves you want to share before we start talking about the theme? And then I'll just say a little teeny bit about the theme. So with imbuing energy and magic, I think about how just right outside my window over there in the trees, there's a magical spot. So I can just sense magical spots sometimes out in nature where I am. There's something that it's almost like I can feel it in the energy and the air. So I have the sense that there are little people running around. So yeah, things like that. Those are some ways that I connect with energy and magic. And I love the idea of magic spelled with a K. I feel a lot of connection to the history of just powerful people and witches and warlocks and all the, I don't know what the non-gendered words are for all those kinds of the energies and practices in the world. So yeah, all this is meaningful to me. And to me, connecting with our intuition is connecting more of our whole self and connecting more of all that is and embracing all of the energy and magic that's here. All right, who else wants to jump in? And yeah, Viana, go ahead, because I know you got something
I just
about
wanted
this.
to say, yeah, I wanted to say that I help people connect to vortexes, and a lot of people have vortexes, positive vortexes, maybe even in their yard. And so I help people find vortexes in their area.
And maybe can you say a little bit about what a vortex is? It's like an energy shift or like a portal-ish kind of place?
Yeah, it's like an energy portal in the ground. And, you know, there's negative vortexes and positive. The negative will pull you down and the positive will move you up. And some of them they're different. The last place I lived in, there were three very strong ones in our yard. And one had mainly masculine energy and the other had mainly feminine energy. And then the other one help people connect to their grief. And so like if they if they couldn't open up to their grief, if they stood on this vortex, and the energy coming from the earth helped them open up to their grief. And it's amazing. So I just
It's
wanted
great.
to
You got
mention
questions about a
that.
vortex. So like one thing you mentioned is you sense that there are vortexes on my land. And how do you sense it from far away? And how do you discern a vortex? And if you could just say a little bit about that.
Well, I don't know if I can put it into words, but I know my guardian angel helps me a lot in this area, and a lot of the other subtle beings too. But there's just a different feeling, a different sense when I tuned into your land, Laureli. I'm not a real visual person, but I actually saw some of them on your land. And usually I don't. Usually I just know they're there. And then as soon as I get on the land, then I just start walking around, and I'm just immediately led to where they are. And I'm sorry, there's not very many words that I can say explains what I'm feeling or noticing.
That's great. That gives us some idea of all that. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, people might be interested in those kinds of things. All right, sweet. All right, who else wants to share? Okay, so Lisa's got your hand up. Yeah, go ahead, share about the theme, imbuing with energy and magic.
Sure. I wanted to ask Viana about, sorry, if I'm like so curious about vortexes, but I promise not to take up the entire hour talking about vortexes. Everyone else has things to share, but I'm fascinated. I just wanted to share the magic of ley lines. I'd heard of them and I wasn't really sure how they felt. And then here in the state of Washington, I forget which island it's on, we have the Earth Sanctuary. And my husband and I went to go to that specifically back in the fall. And we had the map and we're driving and I'm looking at the ley lines and we take a left into the drive to get onto the property. And holy smoke, my crown chakra lit up, my hairs and my body stood up. I'm like, oh, holy crap, this must be the ley line. I had never felt such power before. It was amazing. So do vortexes feel like that?
Yeah, they can.
Okay.
Really.
That was so much fun. So I'm like, I want to go to Sedona and I want to go to, to Stonehenge. And so anyway, but yeah, there are a couple of Stonehenges in Earth Sanctuary. So if anybody is on the Pacific Northwest, go check them out and stand on the outside of the Stonehenges because you can feel the vortex inside those. But that vortex, now that I think about it, is inside the henges versus one that's like by itself. Right? So you can detect the ones that are not inside henges.
Well, where are you talking about?
In Earth Sanctuary, which is positioned on an island outside of Seattle.
Is it Orcas Island?
I don't think so. I'll look it up. But
Okay.
they've got two
I was
henges.
actually about to ask that.
Yeah. I'll put
Yeah.
a link in the chat, but yeah, it's somewhere in Puget Sound and looks like
Oh, it
Laureli.
says Langley.
Yeah.
Langley.
Okay,
Okay,
Langley. So yeah,
that's on Whidbey Island. Whidbey
Yeah.
Island has a lot of them. We have so many around here. They're everywhere, and people don't realize it.
No, yeah. So
They're
Maybe-
just
maybe later on we can talk about that because
Yeah.
so fascinating. But
I mean, I live, at the south end of Seattle, and so if anybody would like to connect with me, we can go on an adventure
that would be fun. Field trip. Yeah.
field trip.
Field
if
trip.
I put the right link in the chat, not sure if that's it, but yeah.
Yeah, Discovery Park. Oh my God.
Yeah, Lorelei, that's it. Just
Okay,
make sure you shield up when you go to Earth Sanctuary because I had a little fae attach itself to me and I didn't sense it until somebody sang light language and I could feel the cord in my back. I never felt the cord. So yeah, it's an amazing place. So yeah, field trip, definitely 5.
Oh, great. And they have an annual pass for $35. You can go as many times as you want. All right. Well, let's see who else wants to share more about the theme. This is great. We're finding great energy places.
Sure. Can I just go ahead and kind of like go
Oh, yeah,
into
go ahead. And then
my-
Anissa, yeah, go ahead.
Cool. All right. So Magick. When I got my first library card when I was 5, the first book I borrowed was on witches. And my stepdad was like, "Oh, are you sure you don't want anything else?" I'm like, "Nope, I know exactly what I want." And he's like, "Okay." And so for me, it was learning how to imbue the energy of the moment, right, into whatever you're doing. And the book that I borrowed was called, I forget what it was called, but it was the little character's name was Witchy Poo, but it wasn't the Witchy Poo series. And then on the back side, I know, Lorelei, I know. At the end of the story, there was a little recipe to make witchy poo pancakes. You know, it was freaking hilarious. And I made my dad make me witchy poo pancakes every day until I had to relinquish return the book to the library. And it was just magical to me. But for me, my natural way to tap magic is matching my intention with the flow state of making, the alchemical state of blending my joy of being inside the process, whether it's getting my hands dirty in charcoal painting or sewing, like, you know, upcycling this jacket. I find that my brain waves then to kind of just, you know, move into the beta and theta states. And then I'm more readily available to talk to my ancestors and my spirit guides. Last year, I had a wonderful experience talking to my ancestors. I call it my birthday party because I was going to make myself a birthday cake with chocolate, but I wasn't sure what kind of cake it was going to be. And so I just centered myself, got quiet and said, okay, I've got chocolate and I've got pistachios here, you know, and I called in my ancestors for the highest trust and compassion into my sacred circle. So I didn't have any miscreants in there screwing things up for me. And it was the first time I actually felt my ancestors come up to my left side, and I could feel 2 of them very strongly. And one of them said, "Use lavender." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And they're like, "Use lavender." So I pulled lavender off my counter because I had shucked a bunch of it. And they told me how to make lavender butter to infuse it into chocolate. It was amazing. I'm like, holy smoke. And I made them direct me. I'm like, okay, you know, like eyes half shut. I'm like, all right, guys, you're going to have to tell me exactly. So I felt like my little arm was a crane moving from the lavender to the pot with the butter. And I'm like, okay, tell me how much, you know, I'm not a cook here. And they're like, okay. And so like, I'm sprinkling it in the, you know, the melted butter, and they're like, okay, stop. I'm like, all right. Crane back goes over, you know, and throws the rest in the pot. It was amazing. It was hilarious. I'm like, I'll be damned. This is a thing. This is really good. I had to go check on Google first, right? And it was so much fun. So yeah, I love being able to just get centered and then just asking the ancestors and angels, hey, what have you got for me? Let's co-create.
It's great. You totally remind me of a way that even though I grew up in a very conventional setting, I really grew up with Magick. Because yeah, that's one of the shows that my dad actually put on the air was Puff and Stuff. The HR Puff and Stuff things and Witchy Poo and all those things. So yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's why you were laughing at Witchy Poo.
Yeah. In particular, I haven't thought about that in forever. So that's the way a lot of us were around all this when we were younger. Yeah. Great. You have fun.
That's the way I make my skin products.
You listen to the messages of what to do?
Oh yeah. They're guiding me all the time. That's the way I cook. That's the way I do everything.
All right, Anissa, you wanted to share.
Yeah, so I was afraid I would miss something. So I wrote out like a little note for myself. So for me, imbuing energy and magic involves infusing oneself with intention for a desired result. It can be a very spiritual act, and in my opinion, a very practical one as well. You can imbue something with energy and magic in a variety of ways, including rituals and spells, and you can use different tools with those rituals and spells. For me, though, I practice a lot of what I think of as practical magic in regards to my mental health. So words and thoughts are quite powerful magic, in my opinion. And so one of the biggest and simplest acts of magic I perform is changing my thought patterns to improve my mental health. My spell is a simple one, like I said. So instead of saying I am sad, I'll change it to I am feeling sad. This small change makes it so that I'm not identifying as sadness. I'm identifying with a feeling of sadness, which is temporary and will fluctuate. So there's this simple spell. This simple spell over time has the power to shift how you feel about yourself and your relationships with emotions. And they remind you that your emotions are temporary and fluctuate. So this is one of my favorite spells that I use in daily life for helping my mental health. And I just wanted to share that.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, all the different types of magic that we practice. Who else wants to share about the theme? Go ahead, Tammi.
I thought about this actually when I looked at the name of the panel. I was like, oh, that is awesome, because that's actually how I talk to people. Like, I'll go in a store and I'll be like, have a magical day, and I'll, when people send me messages on Facebook, especially the ones that, I see your energy and I want to be a reader and all this kind of stupid shit. I say, well, have a magical day, and I love the idea of magic. And I think about, when I was a little girl, and it's funny because my husband says that I still have that innocent magic in me. And I think about the fact that I used to have my what do you call them, people? Imaginary friends, and we would have long conversations, because for 9 years I was a only child. And so I had a lot of, had my imaginary friends, and then of course, I had my cousins and stuff, but, it was just a good time in it. And actually I have done so much inner child work where I actually took myself back and I started doing a lot of things to tap into that magic that I had from, a child. I mean, because I always felt like, things would always get better. I never felt like, like regardless of how bad it looked like, because, most of the time when you're a child, you look at things a whole lot different than adults do. And you're like, oh my God, this is just so bad and so huge. And, my mother always used to say, you don't have to bring so much drama to it. But I felt like that was a part of my magic, you know what I mean? And so when I work with people, I love to like help them to, connect to their magic, and that is one of the things that when I started doing this work, I was like, that's what I want. I want people to know that they're magical, and I want them to begin to connect with the magic, and all the energy and stuff. And it's been a journey, because when I think about it, it's like, as we start stepping into this arena, when you start on this journey, you don't tell everybody. You tell a few folks that are, with you. Everybody else, you have to kind of push that stuff away and not go there. And to me, the journey is in knowing who you can talk to. Like I love when we come on these panels because, all of us are in the same space, so you don't look and sound crazy. But yeah, so I love the fact that, we can connect to the magic and we can actually, step into the energy and honestly, you can be whoever you want to be, and you can connect to those subtle beings that Viana was talking about, because I had a young lady in my circle that she connected to the trees. And she was like, y'all, I mean, it was the deepest I ever seen. She connected to the trees so deeply that when they cut one of them down, she said that one was her favorite. It was her friend. And she was crying and stuff all about this tree. And I was like, wow, and it was just so amazing. And y'all know how old she was, like 17. So it was, to me, I was so excited seeing that, because I wish the hell I had that kind of, confidence to come out like that at 17. You know what I mean? So I was like, girl, your life is just going to be amazing because you've already embraced the magic. But she was deeply connected to these trees. So it was like, and it was the first time I had seen it like that deep. But I mean, you know, like she was like, they cut my tree down, and you know, she was all crying and stuff about it. And I was like, man, you know, this is really deep that she could connect like that, because she said she had conversations with the tree would talk to her and, you know, give her insight and all this kind of stuff. And so it was amazing. So when I heard Viana talk about them subtle beings, I was like, that's what she's talking about. That's what she's talking about. All right.
Yeah, trees. Oh my God. They're my best friends.
That's what she said.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's great. It looks like Raquel's got something to share, and then we have an interesting comment from someone in the audience too that I'll share afterwards. Go ahead, Raquel.
Well, I feel like this, just listening to you ladies have been magic, because you mentioned Puffin stuff, and I've been trying to remember that name. I loved that show when I was a kid, and I've been trying to describe this way before Barney. No one's been thinking now, thank you. Now I can say that was magic for me. That was joyful. There's such synchronicity. I'm finding in my life that synchronicity is magic. My dreams have come to be. They're like magic. And then I'm watching other people that when they say something, it happens. And that to me is the magic. I remember taking a journey about 10 years ago. I landed in Mexico, and I wanted to dry off from being in the Northwest since the 70s. So I landed in Vegas about 10 years ago. And that's where my spiritual awakening, out of all the places in Vegas, was my biggest spiritual awakening. And I think it was the heat. I was needing that 114-degree heat. And my pineal opened up. And I remembering the lady had said to me, she said this one word, because I was always wishing and wishing and wishing for this and dreaming this. And she said, be careful what you wish for. And I said, oh no, I only wish for what I want. That's the magic. Only wish for what you want. And I said that. So I'm in the house one day, getting ready to go out and do some running out in the hot heat. And I remember hearing a voice that said, and I heard this inner voice, and I'm like, what was that? And I realized I was channeling, and I wasn't ready. I was not ready for that magic. I was not ready at all. And the voice said, you're not ready. That was 10 years ago. So in June, I ended up meeting everyone that I wanted to meet in 1993 that channel. And I'm in Sedona, Mount Shasta, talking to the Pleiadian star mothers. And I'm in a conference where everybody is speaking my language. And I'm like, this is the magic. This is what I was a house cleaner and had a cleaning company in 1993. I loved it. But I knew there was something more that I wanted. And I kept speaking it out loud, and I wrote it on a piece of paper. So I'm saying, if you write it, if you say it out loud, that is the magic. It will happen. It will happen. I mean, I'm living proof of it. But I want everyone to be living proof of it for themselves. Yeah, that's what I want to say. And thank you for that puffin stuff. Now I can call my daughter. So I can finally tell her. So no, this is magic right here. This is magic. Thank you. Oh, thanks, everyone.
Great. DoveLight, did you want to share something about the theme? Yeah, great. We're all
okay.
laughing. Yeah, go ahead.
I know, it's funny. Thank you so much for sharing. Imbuing, I'm still trying to figure out how to pronounce that in English.
You got
Imbuing.
it. It's imbue
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
Imbuing. It's funny. I've been speaking Spanish too much lately that I have to retrain my brain. As we all know, our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, our voice, it's part of ourselves, but it belongs to the non-physical part of ourselves. However, in order to live in the physical world, which is a beautiful gift, we need a physical form. So the creator, whatever you believe is a creator force who created us, give us this beautiful gift of creativity, and in this planet Earth, to have that duality with the physical and non-physical. So you as a being, as a light, as a soul who's walking with your physical form as part of this journey, has the ability to bring spirit or energy into the physical form. It's just a birth given right. Now, the tricky part is that most of us has not been consciously direct, trained, or guided to do this. So one of the ways that I learned and to reconnect to this part of imbuing us, bringing spirit, bringing energy, bringing light is through songs, through singing. It was the way that I healed my throat chakra because I lost my voice. I couldn't even speak because of traumatic things that I passed. And every time that I sing or sound, it's not about how beautiful you sound. It's not about how pretty you sound. It's about your intention, your connection to that non-physical part that goes beyond, but it's at the same time, it's within you. So when I was doing that, I noticed that the environment was changing. Sometimes when I didn't like to do it in here, I love to do it in the park and to the spirits and to my family. But when I used to do it in groups, people got healings or messages, or they would start seeing things. Because my intention was to connect to that light, I realized that just by being who you are, you can bring that spirit, you can imbue it, you can put that energy into your environment. This is not about being perfect. Nobody's perfect. We all have a shadow and a line. That's part of the journey. But if you learn how to go back to what you love, you want to bring this into your energy field wherever you go. Anybody of us, have we ever entered a room and we feel like some nasty energy, or somebody was screaming or very sad? Or perhaps you entered to a holy place or a forest, or even to your sister room, and you feel like energy is nice and it's clear and it's pretty. It's because we can sense this with our bubbles, with our aura, if you call it here in America. We can sense this energy. So one of the most simple ways I also imbue energy, it's through the candles. Sometimes I do it mentally, or sometimes you say through the spoken word before you light a candle, because you are bringing that energy into the candle. It's like bringing a soul into a physical form. It's a reflection of our entire being. What people, again, and this happened to myself because as many of us I also been working with healing the inner child and healing my own inner childhood, like many of us. And again, everything that I walk through, I have to be passing through that first. I realized that it was not all in the realm of the mind. It was also that the memories that are traumatic were in the cells, because the energy was stored in the cells. And then I realized, wait a minute, so we actually can get ourselves sick. You hear this, that you can get yourself sick by storing emotions in your body, but you actually really don't believe it or don't integrate it until you can feel it. And I was in a session, in a family constellation session with supporting ancestral healing for somebody, and I was in my entire exposed courses, whatever you want to call it, working with people within my community, my family secretly, and then outside, when I felt like I have to call 911, literally an ambulance, because my heart was hurting so much that I feel like, how the heck, this is never happened to me. Not even when I use my mediumship skills. Usually spirits will tell me or let me know, okay, this is a broken heart, or this is painful. But this is the very first time that I was able to tap into an energy field that can actually send me to the hospital physically. And then after I released the constellation and I finished helping and guiding with the group to this person, because it's not about us, it's about being of service of the soul. I need to integrate. I realized this was a gift. This is not something that you read in a book. This is not something that you hear on the internet. I was able to genuinely feel how having strong feeling stored in your body can actually really make you sick to the point that you can actually go to the hospital. And this lady was confirming to us that yes, she has gone to all the heart specialists or the cardiologists, and she has nothing wrong. So this is literally her own free will of holding that pain so hard that she can literally manifest this sickness, this pain. So that makes me, so I was very grateful for the experience. And of course, the person at her own time will guide it to release it. But this helped me to reconnect to this awareness that sometimes unconsciously we store feelings that we know how to handle or process within our body. And if we do it, we imbue them in our organs, in ourselves. And if we keep doing it for too long, we generally can make ourselves sick. So it's not only a new age concept. And how do we release them? Well, there is many ways to release them, among breath work, somatic therapy, consciously taking it out of your body with your voice, moving or passing a candle and with the intention of passing it. There's many ways around different cultures where you can do that. But the bottom line is, on what I'm trying to say, is that feeling emotions, positive or negative, how we call it here in the West, there's nothing wrong with that. We're meant to feel emotions, but we have to retrain or remind ourselves of the thoughts, of unconscious thought that we keep telling in ourselves, or we keep feeling ourselves, because there is nothing wrong with the spirit. The spirit is a gift. But if we consciously keep putting this energy within, we're going to manifest something that perhaps consciously we will not want it to have. So please, if you feel angry and you can express it to the person, please go do art, go do Tai Chi, Kung Fu, go run, but be conscious about not storing it in your body. And last but not least, very quickly, yesterday I was sending some healing to my intestines, because I was working with, I also am an energy healer worker. And I remember somebody from 5 years ago, which I have a difficult relationship, like of and I don't have any ill towards this person. I don't wish this person anything bad or anything. Actually, I remember that when I met this person, which was a high level soulmate, it was a person who was to teach me how to take out my anger inside, And I was like, why do I remember this person? Like, really, literally, I haven't think about this person in years and years. And suddenly I'm sending energy healing. I'm thinking about this person. Oh, okay, thank you. My organs were talking to me. They were releasing, because I have the strong intention that I want to get to know more about this. And this person, the feeling that I got for this person, a little bit, was stored in my organs. You see? I didn't have to go pay $1,000 to a healer or go to do this and that. My intention is just with my hand to touch my intestine and just to send healing energy. And my body was responding, was sending me this thought or this memory from this person. Why this person suddenly? Because it was not about this person. It was what I felt toward this person that I was left inside my body and was releasing with light. Because if we have the ability to put our repressed feelings within our bodies, we have the ability to, with the intention to say love, light, or clarity, whatever you feel that you need to bring within our organs too. It is very important to get a healthy notion of touching yourself. And this is only, I'm talking about the body and the organs, because this is imbuing energy within a physical form. And we are going to spell the rest of our life in the human form within our physical form. So I feel like it's very important to address. And I hope I make sense what I'm saying. Okay, now I'm done. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, DoveLight. We're having Halloween and Scorpio sun comments back and forth in the chat now, some of us. Lovely. Well, let's see. So one question that was asked, and by the way, we have someone in line for a question, so I want to get to that soon, but someone asked a question in the chat as a general question, and I love this question, because on the one hand, it's really very relevant, and on the other hand, it totally says something about the person that asked the question. The person that asked the question said, it sounds like we're talking about normal everyday thoughts, feelings, and life, living. So can you give some examples of things that are not magical? So part of what I want to say is the person that asked the question is totally connected to magic all the time, and they may not realize that they're connected to magic all the time. So that's why it seems like ordinary everyday life. That's my thought about this. But yeah, so you all, what are non-magical, non-energy? What is not imbued with energy and magic? And certainly when we get lost and stuck and frustrated and think that things don't work, and we're disconnecting from energy and magic, you could say. Like we think there are no openings, no options. Physical plane stuff happens, but yeah. What?
I think it's what you believe. I think that's what it boils down to. I mean, if you believe that you're not, connected, then you're not. And if you see things, I mean, it boils down to what you believe and your perception. So like if you see things and you don't think that there's magic or whatever, then it won't be magic for you. But I mean, two people can have see the same things, but have different perspectives on it. So that's kind of, my thought on that is like, it's magic if you want it to be. Because you can live your everyday life and not realize that it's magical. I mean, to me, waking up every day is magical because some people don't do it.
Is it whether I let myself connect with the energy of awe of what's here?
Yes.
And Raquel, you wanted to share something? Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize I was already unmuted. Yeah, I agree with that 100,000%. I wake up every day and I'm just amazed that this body, it just continues to work. And I don't give it any instructions. At least I didn't give any instructions when I went to bed that night, But I will say you have to see it to believe it. You have to feel it and be around. If you want to feel it, you're here because you want to feel it. You want to know it. That's what I'm assuming. I shouldn't assume. They say never assume. But because you're here and you must feel it and you're wanting examples, I think you need to ask yourself that. And then you will see that because you'll be wanting that. You'll be wanting it. So I think I talk in poetry sometimes, so forgive me. I hope that makes sense with that flow of energy.
It's great. And it's all a bit of a self-referential thing in some ways. It's part of what I think is here. Lisa and Viana. Yeah. Lisa,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I just wanted to piggyback off what you said, Raquel. And to me, it is asking, right? Maybe asking your higher self or asking your guides. If you know that guides and angels exist, but you don't think that you see them, sense them, feel them, just ask, show me a sign. And I wasn't asking for a sign, but I know that when I started coming out of the spiritual closet 3 years ago, I came back from London and said, okay, it's time to go to a magic shop, right? And I'm going to go get myself a deck of tarot cards. That's all there is to it. We're going. And my husband's like, okay, I'll drive you. Let's go. It's not that I can't drive, but he's my personal driver. He loves to drive. Anyway, so we we go to the shop. The cards, pop off the shelf like, many magical experiences happen. And it's that synchronicity, right? It's you don't recognize it. The cards didn't fall off the shelf, but they spoke to me, right? They were like jumping out like a kitten. It's like, pick me, pick me, pick me. And I'm like, oh, I think I need to choose these, right? That's a magical moment. So we go to the counter, pay for the cards, get in the car, he's driving, and I've got the deck of cards in my hand on my lap. And I said, well, I guess I'm doing this. And suddenly my whole body just got the tingles. And I'm like, holy, what was that? Right. And every once in a while you get the goosebumps, but holy smoke. I mean, this was head to toe. There was no denying. And I'm like, okay, something's happening. Something's happening. And at that point, it was just trying to find like-minded people that could help me assign names to what I was feeling. And for me, and I'm going to just do a little hat tip to Laureli here, I'm glad that MeWe exists, because when I started to kind of do a little, keyword search, then suddenly MeWe Fairs came online and the panels became evident. And I was able to sit back and listen and go, oh my God, these are my people. This was so cool. And I just want to blurt out expletives because I'm so overjoyed, right? Yeah. This is a place, if you want to figure out how to assign and create a vocabulary for what it is you're feeling, stick around, listen, because these practitioners and everybody who's involved in MeWe can help you kind of identify so that you can create and imbue your own magic. And one more thing, magic isn't instant, but it's always on time.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Viana.
Well, one of the ways that you can help yourself to connect is to discern what voice is your ego what some people call your monkey mind that's constantly chattering all the time. And what voice is your intuitive self? And if you've been listening to your ego mostly and your intellectual mind, then a lot of times your intuitive voice is so quiet that you can't hear it. And so if you give yourself time, and if you have a question for your guardian angel or your soul or your intuitive self, sit quietly and ask the question and then listen and see what comes up. And see if you can get a sense of, is this your ego speaking? Is this your intellectual mind speaking? And I always ask at least 3 or 4 times, because your ego voice is like a very loud radio. It has been in charge forever. And your intuitive voice may be really quiet. So if you ask your intuitive voice to just be quiet for a while and just say, we'll talk later. I mean, your ego voice, and just say, we'll talk later. I want to listen to the other voice. And then your intuitive voice will start getting louder. Now that's for people who are auditory. I'm very auditory. If you're very visual, then work through a visual connection or sign. If you're very kinesthetic body, then ask for that to speak to you and just practice. And then you'll start being able to discern who's talking. I don't know if that's helpful, but
Yeah, I totally think that's helpful. I think part of what we're getting to is that there are ways to open to magic, ways to open to energy. There are ways we can notice that we're closed, and there are ways to open. And depending on what clairs are more open for us, what our purpose or natural talents are, the sort of being we are and where we are in our journey, there are different tools that are helpful, more so than others. Well, let's see, we've got a first question. So I'm excited to have Andrea come up. Andrea wrote a bunch. Do you want to come up and share on video? Do you want me to read it, Andrea? What would you like?
Probably just read it, I think.
Okay, yeah, you don't have to be on video or anything. Here, so okay, I'll read. And I'm going to put it in the chat too, so people can read it. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, great. I always saw orbs as a young child, but when we moved to a sort of known place nicknamed Snake Road in Sanger, California, I started seeing shadows that looked like people, but often saw a statue without a head in the hallway. My bed looked out too. I would get closer and closer, but if I got scared, I got in big trouble, so I would just hide. Is there a significance that I should realize or no? I usually just blow it off as childhood trauma or never being able to be comforted by my parents, but still I wonder. I see people, but can never make out what they really look like. I will just say to my wife something like, there's a man behind you, but I can't tell her any more than that. So I might have like some typos in here or something I'm not reading right, so go ahead and correct me. It sounds like you've been seeing vague senses of people for a long time, and that often they don't have a head, but you see them enough, you have some sense that one might be a man. So I said sometimes you might see more details than others.
I mean, the statue was only when I was a child, and it was just kind of a weird thing that I never saw again. So I'm like, what was that about? But I often do see like, oh, there's some lady over there, but it's just like a kind of a shadow figure, and I don't know what they want, or, sometimes I'm asked like, what do you want? But I can never get any more than just seeing the figure.
Yeah, so you haven't had any answers come through that you've noticed.
Right.
And do you have a sense that you're just asking that being, or are you answering, or sorry, are you asking just that being, or are you asking more generally, like anyone that will answer you?
No, just the being.
Great, great. I know I totally have things to think about too. All right, so things I could say too. Let's see. So we've got Lisa and Viana ready to share some with you. And you all, we don't have like a huge line of people waiting to ask questions at the moment. So go ahead, take your time. 2-3 minute answers are fine. And I'm going to go look for my rock so I can let you know if you're just going after 3 minutes or so. Go ahead, Lisa.
Thank you. I just set my timer. Andrea, welcome. Welcome. So you just answered a couple of questions. My first question to you is, have you blessed your house?
I've moved a lot, and every time I move in, I do smudge it and do a little smudge stained about protection and that.
Okay, so you're well aware of how to do protection for yourself and for your home.
Yes.
Okay, great. And you can't do it too often, right? I'm constantly clearing my house and my apartment. So good, you've got that. Once you do that, maybe ask your angels and guides how you can connect with the spirits that are in your home, because you may be an accidental medium and you may, have to talk with the spirits that are in your home and ask them, what do they want? And if they want to go off to the light, if they need help and assistance, are they lost, to help them move onward. That would be my suggestion for you. Congratulations on seeing spirit orbs. That's fun. That's a lot of fun. But yeah, there's a difference between spirits and shadows. And quite frequently, if I see shadows, it's time to clear the house. So be cognizant of that and get your angels and guides to help you discern one from the other. But yeah, I think you're an accidental medium. And if you're comfortable with the idea of leaning into that, get some advice like you're doing tonight. Does that help?
It helps. Thank you.
Okay.
And we have some recorded panels on Mediumship up on our YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the chat as an example of a place you could go looking. And we've got Viana, Raquel, and DoveLight in line. Go, Viana.
Well, Lisa answered a lot of what I was going to say. I think it's really important to, are you connected to do you feel like you are connected with your guardian angel and all the subtle beings that are around that are your friends?
I feel like I'm working on it still. I do pull angel cards all the time. I do recognize a lot of like numbers and say, thank you for giving me that sign or that whatever, but still working on it, I guess.
So are they definitely shadows, or do you ever see any very thin, like a being, but very translucent?
No, I mean, I know that it's, I never feel bad about, 99.9% of the time, I don't feel like it's a bad thing. I feel like they're always friendly and always just being like, hey, I'm here. But it's always just kind of in a shadow form that I can't make out what they look like.
So do you get a sense that it's the same shadow that keeps coming to you, or is each time different?
I've moved a lot. There's been a couple times it's the same, but usually it's different.
Okay, because I remember when I moved into a house back in the 90s, and it was kind of like a shadow that would just show up every so often. And I got a sense that that the shadow was trying to tell me something. So I just spent time talking to it. And I said, well, how can I help you? And it took quite a while because the being, it was a spirit, needed to find out if I was really serious. And then I found out that he wanted to make sure that the people that lived in this house that he used to live in would take care of the house. He was really worried. And I said, yeah, we'll take care of it. And after a few conversations like that, then he just left. And so that's why I asked if you recognize this shadow coming more than once, you might spend some time and see.
I think like when I have moved, like when I lived in Sanger, like Snake Road is not the real name, but it's been on TV shows because it's supposed to be famous for having a river witch and it's a whole thing. That was the only time that I was like scared of what I saw. Outside of living there, I've never been scared of what I see.
Okay. Well, spend time talking to them and ask your guardian angel to help you. Ask the subtle beings to help you communicate and see what's the purpose of this shadow, this being showing up. You might get some good information.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Viana. We've got Raquel next. Let's make sure to get you unmuted.
I did. I thought I was doing it right. Okay, here we are. Oh, Andrea. Thank you for being here. I wanted to just when you said Snake Road, I almost jumped out of my seat. I had a snake in my toilet lid about 2 hours ago that I had to have some people come up and get it out of and bring out and let it free, because I was not going there at all, but it let me be aware, and I was being very aware of my circumstances all week long. And I was thinking that you said you were moving, or you've been moving, and I was thinking in my spirit, I do an intuitive channeling. As soon as you open up your mouth, I'm like tapped in, and I'm gonna say what came to me is wherever you are shedding some skin, and you are expanding in your spiritual growth and your powers and your magical powers. I wrote that down. The fact that you are seeing shadows, the fact that you are seeing beings, the fact that you are aware and you're not scared, that's key right there. So I say hold space for them, welcome them, light some candles, light some music. Bring them, if there's something that you're wanting to do in your spiritual growth at this time, are you wanting to do tarot cards and all of that goodness? I mean, I know you do them, but is there something like I'm feeling this if you want to expand?
Yes, definitely.
Yes, that I'm feeling. Music. Welcome them, hold space for them, and whenever they show themselves, do your tarot cards right then and there. You might get some answers or messages. That just came. So thank you. Thank you. I hope that helped.
It does.
Thanks, Raquel. DoveLight.
Thank you so much for sharing your question that's in the chat. There's some okay. So first of all, just please take what resonates with you and leave the rest. The answer you've been seeking is a strong yes. You absolutely are born with this beautiful gift. The thing about spirits that couldn't cross to the other side, when they see the light in children sometimes, and they don't differentiate between their adults or not, they just see a portal, they just see a light, and you carry this light in your energy field, that you have the potential, the ability to cross souls to the other side or communicate with them. However, it's very important that you know you're true, that it's not that you were crazy, you're making it up. You actually has this gift that comes from your lineage. And what you were seeing as a child, you were seeing what you were able to be showing at that moment, because your own self-defense, it's normal to be afraid as a child. If you don't have a guy or nobody to help you with, it's normal to be afraid. So it is the fear, it's that you have this gift open, but your own fear is trying to protect you by blocking it. So we have a battle, energetic battle in the energy field between not being able to completely see it, but this curiosity, because there is some fear. I feeling a strong wound in your heart, something painful, something very sad. So what happened with these entities or these souls, sometimes that they don't have a human body, they don't have chakras to be able to manifest or be around the way the humans do. So what they do, sometimes they attach to people, or they be around people trying to eat out of these emotions. For example, this is not your case, but for example, if around people who likes to drink a lot of alcohol, there are always souls of alcoholics that didn't pass to the other side, because they have this deep attachment to this addiction specifically. They will be around and feeding on that energy just to be around the earth. That doesn't mean there is nothing bad or wrong with you. It's just that for some time when you were a child, you were very sad, or you felt like there was this wound, and that was attracting this being. They resonate with the vibration of that energy. However, this can be changed. We all can learn from that. You have to be patient. You have to accept that everything happens in divine order. So it's not about why this happened to me, even at that moment we don't understand. It's why, what is it for? What can you learn from it? What's the wisdom? What's that you can get from this that can help in your spiritual journey? I'm very grateful that you are willing to be open to the different directions you can take this gift aside. But I feel like there is a emotional healing that need to take place in order within yourself, in order to bring more clarity in the way that you're going to be able to experience your connection with this gift that you have to the other side. Let me see the question. Anything else? Is there anything else? There is some. Yeah, that's the way you. Yeah, I just leave it as now. I'm just trying to read the question if I understood correctly. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. Great. Anissa.
Hi, so I'm going to be repeating kind of what was said, but I'll be adding kind of my own interpretation with the imagery. The first imagery that came up was a comfy couch. So definitely these spirits, these entities that you're seeing, they do want to have a conversation with you. They do want to open up to you. So like this mediumship definitely resonates with me as well. The next image was of a key. So right now it's unlocking your own intuitive gifts more. So seek out a mentor or seek out community where you can build your intuitive gifts, even if it's just trying to find videos on YouTube or learning about things on YouTube. Of course, I'm going to plug We is a great community to be a part of as well. There's lots of events that you can learn from and practice circles and things like that. So I highly encourage you to keep being involved in the community here. The next imagery I got was of a seed sprouting. So for that, if your intuitive gifts started as a child, and so it is something that you can choose to nurture and grow now as an adult, and it sounds like you do want to open. And that led into the next imagery, which was the windows with curtains. So it's time to open up those curtains, literally, to shine your light. The world deserves to see your light. We want to see your light, so it's definitely time to do that. The next imagery I got was of a goat. So sometimes though, things can get destructive. Negative energies can take hold and cause a ruckus. So that clearing that Lisa was talking about, that setting boundaries, is very important as you continue into this work. And the last imagery I got was of a small dog. So I don't know if you have a dog, but there's a small dog around you that's a guard dog protecting you. They don't have wings, so I'm going with that. This is the physical dog on this earth. And those were the images that I got.
I will tell you that the small dog is like super awesome, because I had a reading and they're like, you have a dog and their name is like Lady. And I was like, they were like, maybe not Lady. And I was like, no, I don't have a dog. And they're like, well, there's a dog in your house. And maybe it's Lady is just coming to me. I had the Bolesky experience. I don't know if you know who Bolesky is, but, and she's like, there's a dog in the house. And I was like, yeah, I thought it was a cat. I thought I had a ghost cat, but it's a small dog. And she's like, no, it's a dog. And I was like, okay, well, it's a girl dog, apparently. So you saying that is so funny to me, and it's pretty awesome.
Great, great. What do you think about the idea of possibly being a medium, Andrea?
I mean, I think it would be super fun and super awesome, but it's just, how to tap in and how to get there and do the work.
I mean, part of it too, if
So
you
here I
say
am.
you're willing to be a medium, you're willing to be of service, like welcoming them to show up. And
Definitely.
people have shared a little bit too. You can set some filters of who you want to have show up. Do you want to have some that have already passed and have messages? Do you want some that are having trouble passing? Is there somebody that you're helping them? Probably it's not that. I have more the sense that they have messages for you. Or, be willing to have people come to you that have questions, that want to connect with others. Okay, so you being open and letting the universe know, letting energy know that you're willing. Yeah. Can you feel the energy of it says a little dog that's supporting you and protecting you, even if you don't have the physical
Yeah,
dog?
I mean, I've seen it a couple times, and it's just like this little flash of this little, like, black. I thought it was, like I said, I thought it was a cat, but apparently it's like a little dog. In real life, I don't like little dogs. They just annoy the hell out of me. Grew up with pit bulls and Saint Bernards and, little dogs or whatever, but I have seen it flash, while standing by the door and then flash by me a couple times, or, at night or when I come home. So when she had told me that the first time, I was like, okay, well, it's a dog, not a cat. Okay. And then so this was just kind of like that confirmation of apparently a female dog, because she thought her name was Lady. So I don't know. Anissa,
Spirit has a good sense of playfulness too. So that you
Yes,
particularly don't
definitely.
like little dogs. It's poking at you to look at things that you think the direction you've not
Yes.
gone. That's great. Anyone have any? Yeah, does anyone else have something for Andrea?
Just like everybody was saying about the boundaries, just know that you have the right to say no, period, to the voices, to the walls, if you choose to do so when you're ready. Thank you.
Yeah, you can say
Thank
no to
you.
any aspect. Which beings you want to have come through, which ones you don't, for which reasons, what times, all those kinds of things. Yeah, the quality of their energy. It's all up to you. Lisa, go ahead.
Yeah, I would love to add just another bit of advice, and that is when you do start communicating with the spirits in your home, make sure that you do the protection and have your spirit guides and angels surround you before you do any connecting whatsoever, right? That's the boundary right there. Interestingly enough, from my spirit guides, I was gifted a new spirit guide. It's essence of me, but she is going to be helping me in my mediumship readings. So many times you have like a specific guide that will help you with the mediumship readings. Sometimes they materialize right before your very eyes, which was kind of amazing for me. But yeah, before you do any communicating, make sure you create that sacred circle, have your angels and guides come in with you before you start any kind of communication. That way, when you call them in for your highest trust and compassion, then that's going to eliminate all the miscreants and mavericks and the wicked spirits who want to come in and just like muck with you and muck with your energy and muck with your expectations. So that will help eliminate all of that. I hope that resonates and I hope that helps you.
Yes,
Great.
it does a lot. Thank you.
Great. And I put some info in the chat. We happen to have an online fair coming up this Saturday from 5 to 9 p.m. Pacific time. That is also free to join. And then Sunday from 12:30 to 3 Pacific time, we have a practice circle. So if you wanted, you could come and say, I've seen some things. I'm open to them showing up now, and just go into rooms with people and see what shows up. And it could be in terms of, beings that you connect with, and it could just be other intuition that comes through. And that's sliding scale 5 to 12. Anyone is welcome to come to that wants to practice their opening to their intuition or whatever gifts they have been consciously practicing. So yeah, all kinds of different community events. And then, yeah, great. Oh yeah, there are a few things that I didn't do in the beginning before I started answering questions. So sorry, Andrea, we didn't do that just now. Let me just say this at the moment, and then we are open for more questions. What I'm supposed to say is it is a great opportunity for everyone to learn from all that's asked and answered, even if you don't ask a question. And it's great to practice opening your intuition. And most importantly, when you ask a question, if we go deeper than you want us to go, or we share about topics you don't want us sharing about in this forum, please let us know. We will interrupt us. We will aim to change course and honor you in our response. And it's one other thing too, is we do request that the attention generally stays up on the panel today. So for those of you that are practicing opening to your intuition, you might be taking notes and scribbling and drawing and all that. If you want, after someone has finished receiving our answers, you're welcome to reach out to them by private chat and see if they'd like to hear what came through you. And if they want to hear, go ahead and share. That's totally fine. And if they don't, please honor them. They may feel full. All right, we are open for more questions that could be directly related to the theme and can really be about anything. And let me see if anyone else has asked. We request that you pay first before you jump in to ask. And please let me know in chat if you have paid, so I make sure that I notice that you are in line. And I'm attempting to open PayPal right now, and I haven't seen anything come through on Venmo at the moment, but I'll go check. All right, great. I don't think we have anyone else in line at the moment. So if someone else does want to ask a question, let us know. And we on the panel can also ask questions ourselves if we want. So we're free. We can answer each other's questions. Hmm. I guess maybe I'll just a silly thing, but the word magic spelled without a K and the word magic spelled without a K, I just love it so much more with a K. Like, what energetically is coming through when it's spelled that way? Is it just all the associations that I have with it on this plane, or like what is the knee that is going through with that little K? And people that don't know what it means, yeah, spell check keeps changing it on me, taking out that K. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Anissa, go ahead.
This isn't a spiritual hit or anything like that. It's just I like just how you have your pronoun as Shay. Like, I feel like you just like the flair of certain words, the way they look, the way they appear. So sometimes I think that it's just the more uncommon way, the more flair, the more beautiful way to have it. Just the more out of the ordinary. I don't know. That was just what came to mind at first. I didn't do like a intuitive hit with that. That was just
That's great.
side.
Yes, someone mentioned too, the K is the 11th letter of the alphabet. That's great. Oh, we have a general question about deja vu. Yeah, sure. You can ask a general question about deja vu. That's cool. That's cool. If you want to put it in chat or you want to unmute and ask, that's fine. A whole bunch of the MeWe team is here, right? So Anissa is on the panel, and Anissa is part of the MeWe team, and the person asking about deja vu is also on the MeWe team.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Crystal.
I'm thinking of deja vu because when I came in, Miss Viana was talking about vortexes, and I just have a question about deja vu. I know the difference between deja vu and a dream. I know the difference between deja vu and having a similarity, but I don't know what it means when you have a deja vu when I know for a fact I lived that day before. So
You mean like the memory comes through feeling like deja vu rather than a memory? Or what do you mean?
I just know that I've had experiences where I have lived that day before, where it was a significant car accident, chain of events that happened, and I know that I've done this before and it wasn't in a dream.
Right, but you can't figure out in a physical plane way that it happened.
Correct.
Okay, great.
Thank
It looks like Raquel.
Can I speak?
Let's see. So we have Raquel and Lisa with hands up, and Tammi. If it's bursting out of you, Tammi, you got to go. Go ahead.
It's bursting out.
Go.
I just want to say it's because we've already lived these days. We've already lived this life. We've already lived it. That's why you feel like, you've done this before, you've heard this before, because we've already lived this. This is already done. I'm done.
All right, so it was the last time, maybe. Okay, let's see. So this is a great question. We got hands shooting up. We got Raquel, Lisa, and Viana in line. Go ahead, Raquel.
Yes, you hit it right on the button, Tammy. Yeah, I agree 100%. Oh, wow. When I was younger, I used to notice deja vu so many times. I was like, okay, I've been here before. And as I've gotten understanding that we've come back many lifetimes, we choose to come back. I've chosen to come back this lifetime. And this time around was the strongest deja vu I've ever experienced in my life. And I know, because you hit it right on the button, you say, it didn't feel like a dream, as I'm like, you've been here before and you've experienced it before. And I came to Mexico in December, and there was a certain road and hill. I don't like going up hills. I just don't. I just never did. I like to be really planted on the ground. And there's hill that lives in my dreams over and over and over again. And that same hill, I took a picture of it in December, and it was the hill that was in my dreams. I have been here before. I knew I'd been here before. And the most I talked to my mother, and she says, well, we do have some Mexican in our bloodline. Well, okay, maybe that explains why I'm always trying to run to Mexico every time I get a chance. And my name's Raquel and her name's Rosa. Okay, well, if I've been here before, this time it feels so real. Like every moment feels so real. So yes, beautiful. Deja vu is a dream that has come to be true. And we're living it again on this plane and this time. So yeah, right now. So walk with that, because if there was a time that you were remembering it and you made a different decision, it gives you an opportunity to make the different decision this time around. Go down a different path, a different road, if you're feeling that.
Great. Thank you, Raquel. Lisa.
Hey, Crystal, great question. I love deja vu. Like, I think it was Raquel who was talking, having so many of those experiences when I was younger, especially like high school and college. I started a notebook, a journal on them. And what I learned is that I could actually engage deja vu, meaning that, and this is horrible to say, through sleep deprivation. I don't know how many of us in college got, the requisite, 8.5, 9 hours of sleep every night. And when I learned, I know that I have to have 9 hours of sleep every day. If I start to take off an hour, shave off an hour for the next 3 days, deja vu starts to come into my periphery. So once I've learned that, then if I'm in the middle of that deja vu moment, I have to go, all right, first of all, what is this scene trying to tell me? And why am I feeling sleep deprived the last 3 days? What caused that? So I think it might be synchronicity, right? That's kind of playing a part in this, because in many times when I do have a deja vu, it's showing me tools and techniques that I don't know yet. That's true for me. For instance, I remember one of my first jobs in college. I was working for a department store in their display arena, right? So I was doing posters and window decorations and things like that. And I was shown that I was going to be doing something 5 days from now. And I hadn't a clue how I was going to do it. And I'm like, I thought it was just a dream. I'm like, okay, that was a weird dream. I know how to do X, but today I couldn't tell you how I do X. And then 5 days later, a colleague says, okay, I'm going to show you how to do X. I'm like, I'll be damned. So if you are inclined to figure out how you're experiencing deja vu, let it be through sleep deprivation or whatever it is, create a catalog of those experiences. So if that's something that you want to have a little bit of fun with, then you could recreate those moments. But yeah, I love deja vu. So thanks for asking the question.
Thank you, Lisa. Viana.
Well, one thing, as far as time is concerned, there's really no such thing as time. Humans have created time for their convenience, but everything is happening at the same time. I mean, and once you really get a chance to allow yourself to experience that, it's amazing. And when you're when I have a deja vu, I ask, okay, is this something, is this coming up because it's trying to tell me something? Or is this a karmic imprint that I need to really look at? Or what is this? And sometimes it's just a fleeting thing, and sometimes it kind of hangs around. So just play with it. See what comes up. I don't know if that.
No, it's great. Like getting more about deja vu. I mean, I know someone's mentioned it before too, but the idea that there are all these parallel paths, right? So it's that these are some of the different paths, and right, you're connecting through places that we don't often connect through.
And when you allow yourself to be on these different levels, you know, instead of just staying on the one energy level, and you start allowing yourself to move up into the different levels, then you get a sense of the fact that it really is no such thing as time. And I'm always having to remind myself, okay, you are driving, so we're gonna really stay in our body, stay in our feet, and focus on human time. So because it's so easy to travel in all these different levels and frequencies.
Great. And DoveLight's got something to share about this too. Go ahead, DoveLight.
Oh my God, the question. She didn't ask for a specific question, right? She just was.
Yeah, it's just in general. So what do we do with deja vu? What is deja vu? How's that related to all these things that we're talking about?
Oh, okay, thank you. Again, I haven't been a panel in a long time. First, if it resonates with you, your soul, before coming to this planet Earth, you have like a plan. You know, you like a little plan. Okay, I'm gonna meet this person. I'm gonna learn forgiveness from this person. I'm going to, I don't know, be in a car accident, or I might have 3 children, so get divorced. We all have different life lessons, life plans. You know, particular for soul involvement. Edgar Casey, the sleeping prophet, the most documental psychic in America, he said that before something significant or predominant happen in your life, you're always going to dream about it. Because what happens is that when you go to sleep and your body is resting, it's like kind of like going back to heaven in a way, because your soul or your higher self specifically can go to heaven, can go to the astral, go back to your spiritual family, can go help clear the oceans. Your higher self goes beyond is that light, that bigger part of us. So before something predominant or significant happen in our life, we're going to dream about it, or because so our soul, when in the waking up state, pass through it, is not too traumatic or not too much of a chart to the energy field, you know. So this is what usually happen. Like we dream, sometimes we forget because we're not consciously trained to remember dreams or having lucid dreams. Sometimes we do, but sometimes we don't. And even if you don't remember the dream, it's still in your energy field now. It's part of you. So when you experience the experience in the waking up life, it's not too much of a shock per se. And what makes it a deja vu, it's because there is something in your energy field or something in the experience that it's significant for you. One of the things that I learned as a teenager actually was to write my dreams, because I keep having this strong deja vus. Like it didn't come like because I wanted to get. Suddenly I was in a place and something in my brain and my energy, like, wait, I have lived this before. I've been talking to this person, and that's what I dream about. It keep coming a lot. So that's why actually before I was into apps and iPhone and all that, I actually literally get a notebook and write them down. And then I did it for a season, and 3 years after, I go back to that notebook. and I realized that I create a future diary. I lit even if it sounds insignificant, but it was a future diary because everything that I was dreaming about, one way or another, was related to something that was coming up in my life, months, sometimes weeks, sometimes years, sometimes even a 5-year. So this is why when I realized that these deja vus were coming, because I was preparing myself my spiritual team, my guides were preparing myself in the non-physical realm, in the higher planes, for the experience I was going to live in the earth, because as many empaths here, living their life in the earth experience can be challenging, even to our energy field can be too much. So they need to prepare us in the other side so we can come to live in the physical form in a more balance, especially if that involves a strong emotional connection. So this preparation can come from a past life that your soul knows, and it's gonna go back to the same we lived before. These deja vus can be ancestral. Yawana, relax. I'm sorry, my dad. These deja vus can be ancestral. Somebody in your lineage, in the strong lineage, passed through it, and somehow you are connected to that specific ancestor because both of you have a similar soul lesson. And by you living through it and passing through it, you're going to clear it. Sometimes it's that you want to meet a soulmate or somebody significant in your life. It could be like to learn something beautiful, what love, or maybe find what love is not. But that's one of the basis of the way that I experienced and understood deja vu, and I hope it helps you. It's just it is true though. In the spirit, in the soul, there is no time. There is past, present, and future, multidimensional, even parallel life we're living at this moment. However, in order for us to have some goodness sake in this human world, we need the time. Otherwise, you're not gonna get paid. You're gonna be late for your doctor's appointment. We need that structure. It's for the human part of us. But for a spirit or soul, we're eternal. This life is just a blink of an eye, So yeah, that's why we're playing with this balance, multidimensionality within ourselves, within our soul. Thank you.
Great. And Crystal, I'm guessing that I know maybe an example of a deja vu that you're talking about, and you probably like the idea that you're planning for the future, right?
Well, like I said, there's deja vus that you dream, but mine was I had lived that day before. It had just happened like 3 months prior. The same thing, like we're driving, we see a car accident, we pull over, we give the lady the information because it was a hit and run. We saw the person leave, and I'm like, I did this already. Like not in a dream, I literally already did it. And so I felt like I went through a portal. I felt like I went through a time loop or something. And so that's why I said, I know the dream deja vus, but when I was wide awake, I'm moving, I'm functioning, and it's the same thing, same
Yeah, and it
lady,
has that
same cars.
feeling.
Yes.
Yeah, and as you talk about it, I'm having like feeling memories going back to times I've had this too. And it really does feel like I've so lived this. And it's got a weird, eerie, like my life, but not my life. Like it was a past or another version that I somehow am connecting to. We've got more comments. We've got Lisa and Raquel.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment, Crystal, that it sounds like it was a glitch in the matrix, right?
It was more than just
Because-
there was more than deja vu. Like I was wide awake. I lived it. This is not a dream. I lived it twice.
So yeah, Groundhog's Day, right? 3 months later. So yeah, so this isn't deja vu at all. This is just a glitch in the matrix that for some reason you have to revisit it. You have to revisit that scene. And I guess really it's a matter of, what's the takeaway? What is the universe trying to tell you?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say there's some lesson that you didn't get that you're needing to get again. Raquel's got something.
I immediately was wondering if you're clairvoyant and it's just letting you know, be aware that's your gift. You're clairvoyant. You can see what's going to happen before it happens. Does that happen to you? It just seems that just came to me, clairvoyance. I met a friend years ago that was extremely clairvoyant. And that just came to me as soon as you spoke again. So that could be a great signal for you to be aware of that gift, that magic gift that you have.
Thank you.
All right, great.
Thanks,
Great. Thanks so
everybody.
much for a fun question. All
Appreciate
right,
it.
let's see. Does anyone else have a question for the panel? Yeah, Lisa, did you want to say you do you feel like you went over everything that you had posted in the chat in your answer? Is there anything else there to say? Okay, great. We are set.
No, but I will recommend to Crystal and anybody else who is interested in glitches is to check on YouTube. There are a couple of channels that tell glitch stories. They're phenomenal. And boy, you know, between NDEs and glitch stories, that's where you can find me, because the world is an amazing place between vortexes and time pockets and all kinds of crazy things. The glitch stories are fabulous to follow. So you may find yourself resonating with one or more of those stories.
Sweet. All right. Oh, goodness. And you shared for us answering that question. All right, cool. You didn't have to do that. Thank you so much. All right. And Daniel shared something about, yeah, unexplained mystery and deepening into the wondering. Yep. Can bring about spiritual growth. Do you want to say anything about NDEs, just while you mentioned NDEs? Anyone? Do you want to say anything about that while we're waiting to see if there's another question?
NDEs being,
yeah,
sorry.
near-death experiences. Yeah.
Near-death experiences. Yeah, I've got a couple of friends who are YouTubers who talk to people who've had an NDE or multiple NDEs, and I find those fascinating as well. I've never had one. I'm not sure I hope to ever have one, but it's kind of amazing, right? Because a lot of those NDEs, the people come back with such profound experiences that allows them to completely shift their paradigm of what they thought the world was constructed, the original constructs and structures and infrastructures of how things were set up, were born into those structures. And we're like, wait, that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. And I need to come back and share my experiences and what consciousness, God, the universe, the oneness, the unity is trying to share and tell us so that we can bring it back and kind of, you know, refigure things and make everything equitable for all. And those stories are fabulous. And I would love to see hands here if anyone has experienced an NDE, because I would sit and listen to it all day long.
And that goes along anyone that's in the audience too. We're happy to hear.
So I haven't had quite, I guess it probably really was a near-death experience. When I had my second child, I was in the hospital, and I was, now that I think about it, I was a statistic. Many times Black women have difficult times in healthcare. And for me, I labored 27 hours, I think, with my first one. And I was actually here in Washington. I delivered her at Magick Army Medical Center. But my second one, I had him civilian, and I had him in a Catholic hospital, which, if you don't know what that means that if you want to get your tubes tied, it won't be there. So that wasn't an option. But I dealt with the same thing. I think they let me labor like 25 hours with that one. And when I had him, my first, they took her because she was trying to die. So when she came out, of course, she was purple because, you know, she was lacking oxygen. My second, they took him because I was about to die, because he was fine. He was strong. He was strong and he was fine, and he was kicking and beating the hell out of all my organs. And I know that energetically what was going on was they were trying to get this child to come out, but he couldn't come out because I labored for 27 hours with the first one, then I had a C-section. And then I had this one right on top of her, and my body heals really fast. And so I got a lot of adhesions. And so when he tried to come out, he couldn't get out. They said if he would have tried to come through, it would have killed him because the adhesions would have cut him up. And so for me, what happened with me is basically my body started shutting down after they delivered him C-section. And that was my second C-section after laboring for all those hours. And so when he came out, my body started shutting down, and they didn't know why. They had no clue. They didn't know what was going on, but my body started shutting down. My stomach swelled back up like I was still pregnant. And I didn't eat for like 14 days because they had me NPO, NG tube, all these things. So they really didn't know what was going on. Now that I look back on that, I realize, of course, looking back, because that was 31 years ago. But looking back, I realized that what was going on, it was so much stuff happening in that. And I actually was at a place where the doctor called my husband, because my husband didn't show up for the birth because he was an asshole, but another story. But the doctor called my husband and said, you need to come. Because my husband was actually here in Washington State and I was in Georgia. And he called my husband and said, you need to come because your wife is dying and you're going to have to get your child. And so, and I remember him calling, and because I was actually laying there when he called. And I was like, wow, okay. And I think I ended up having to have something like 4 units of blood, which that was 91. So that was not really a good time to have that. Because although they said they were testing for the blood, they wasn't testing all like they should have been. Because people had gotten a lot of things from the blood while at the same time. So anyway, I had this experience where I saw the angels, and I thought about it later. I was like, I could have really been scared, but I wasn't scared. But I saw the angels. There were 4 of them posted around my bed, 4 of them. So I knew when I saw them that I was going to live, because there was questions. Nobody knew, they didn't really even know what was going on. They were getting ready to take me back to surgery because they had no idea what was happening. But I had a person that actually could see into the spirit. And she said that what was happening was that my baby had fought so hard and he had kicked and bruised and beat my organs, and they were just tired. Because I mean, my lungs were shutting down, all of this. It was a whole ass mess. But I got through it. But the thing that really got to me was when I saw those angels. They were posted on the 4 corners of my bed, and it was the most amazing thing because they didn't have wings. And y'all got to realize I was 22 years old at the time. And they didn't have no wings, none of that stuff, no halos or nothing, none of that. They just looked like men, and they had white suits on. I remember that. And they looked different. Like one of them had dreads, and one of them had blonde hair, different. They looked different. But I knew that they were angels. And they were posted at the 4 corners of my bed. And so I remember that to this day. And when I think about it, it just gives me chills because I know that, they were there to help me to heal and to protect me and, send me on because of where I am now, because of this destiny, that I'm working to fulfill. But I can kind of relate to that because I was so out of it for a long time because they pumped me with Demerol, and y'all, Demerol does not work well for me. I know that now. And of course, now I got it on my list of fucking allergies because I'm like, it doesn't work well because it makes me crazier than shit. And it does a thing like I feel like when I take it, it feels like I'm looking over myself, like I'm outside of myself, looking at myself, do crazy things, and so I'm like, no, that's not for me. But that was the state I was in. So I was like in this place where, I just felt so crazy and all that stuff, but it was a time where I knew I never felt like I was going to die, even though the doctor did, but I never felt like it. I always felt supported and protected. And then when I saw those angels, I knew, and it was like right after that when there was the shift, like right after that night. And it was wild because every night I was in there was somebody with me pretty much, except that night. And I think it was about 2 nights that nobody was with me. My grandmother would come and stay. But then after 6 days, they sent my son home. because he was fine. And of course, insurance. And so they sent him home and he went home with my grandparents, which, was already amazing, y'all. Because that would be like their great grandson that they were taking care of, so that experience for me was something that I can still remember. And, that was, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but it was 31 years ago, almost 32. But I still remember that because it was just such a profound experience for me, and you would think that would like catapult me into spiritual awakening and all that stuff. But I was still deep in religion at that time. But I realized that was just a space where God had me. And I realized also too that, I felt like, and like I said, the doctor was like, she's gonna die, because they really didn't even know to this day. They don't know what was going on. They don't know what was wrong. They don't know what happened, but I know that, they allowed this child to beat up my damn organs. My kids were 19 months apart. So, there was barely any healing time. And then y'all know what the weird thing was. My doctor said to me after I had that child and after I went back for my checkup and all that stuff, he said, if you, he said, you are not, he said, maybe your people were born birth babies, but you're not. Because that's not what you're born to do. He says, so if you get pregnant within like 2 years, he said, because that was too close. My kids were 19 months apart. He said, that was too close. He said, if you get pregnant within 2 years, he said, it's going to be detrimental for you and the child. He said, and I will be forced to take the child if you get pregnant. And I was like, wow, wow. Can you imagine being 22 years old and being told that? But, that for me did it for me. So I was good. I didn't have no more kids. But that was an experience that I had that was just, it was profound, and so I can just imagine people that actually have near-death experiences and what they go through.
Thank
Wow.
you for sharing.
Yeah.
That's
You're
beautiful.
Yeah. thank
Yeah,
you.
angels show when angels show up, they usually, if they want to be seen, they usually pick a form that feels comfortable.
I like that.
Something that's familiar, feels comfortable, because they're not informed, but they will do that if they feel it's necessary. It's hard for them, but they will do that, so that they really wanted you to know that you were not alone.
I felt that.
Thank you.
I felt that because it was like, because can you imagine, I'm 22 years old. I already had one baby. I had the second one. And at that point, my ex was being a piece of shit. And so I did feel alone. I felt like,
Right.
even though, like I said, my grandmother was amazing. She would come and she would stay, and she was I don't know if you guys know, but she was a pastor, preacher, teacher, evangelist, prophetess type. So she would come and she would stay. She also at the time, and I didn't know at that time because, I was so out of it. But at the time she came and she would stay, she was fasting. So she would be fasting and praying for me.
Right.
And so I knew that I was good, and I knew I was going to be protected, but I wasn't sure. And so when I seen those angels, because it just looked like men, and I feel like they took that form because they knew I would be accepting of that, even though it didn't really matter to me, because at that time I was so out of it, and I felt so crazy, y'all, and I was so out of it. But I knew that, I connected with spirit. So even from, I was connected with spirit from a child, I used to lay hands on people when I was 3 years old. So I knew that I was supposed to be a healer from a child.
Yeah.
So I always connected. So it wasn't a problem that, I wasn't going to recognize. But I think that they came in that form because they knew that would be easy for me.
Right. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
dear
Thank
angels.
Yeah.
Yes.
Big story. I know Raquel had something to share too. We started talking about near-death experiences.
Okay, I will. I was thinking about when, near death. I know that there's a time where, you want to like experience so much of the different levels of spirituality. That's what I thought that I was ready for, all of that. And I remember when my pineal opened up wide and I walked outside and I saw, I know I saw who we truly are. And I saw like lights and lights and lights and like energy, just like, and I stopped in that moment and I knew I had a choice. And I knew I was making a choice to stay planted here on this earth, that I chose to come here to stay planted on this earth. And I feel like a lot of times when people are not comfortable being here on this earth, they tend to want to reach to another level. And
Yes.
And this is heaven on earth if you can find that peace within yourself. And a lot of times, when I hear about people experiencing near-death experiences, I notice that they just they come back usually happier and their gifts are enhanced, really enhanced. It's almost like they had to go and experience that in order to have their gifts enhanced. And I think I had a living experience while I was here so that I can know that I don't have to go there to have my gifts enhanced. In a sense, I can do that here. So yeah, I used to listen to a lot of the near-death experiences stories when I was younger. I used to listen to them a lot. And I used to be so impressed with how people are able to come back and you just become more and better than you would have been if you didn't have that experience. So yeah. Yeah, I thought that I should share that.
Great, thanks.
Dave,
Thanks.
I think you're having near-death experiences.
Yeah, it looks like DoveLight's got something to share too.
Always, thank you so much to Tammi for sharing that story. That's very personal. So thank you so much. Just by hearing it, I was picking up that you actually did have a almost near death experience. You were like in the line in between. So thank you for sharing and thank you for the courage. Both of my mentors, one of my best friends, like a spiritual mom, she did have a near death experience, and the other one is Kimberly Meredith. She also have a near death experience, both of them actually. And it was in their soul contrast to have that near that experience in order to reawaken their gifts. I feel like when babies are born from the great spirit to this fall, they still got this pure energy because they're not living too much through the human experience, this oneness, this light naturally. So when they die and they go to the other side, it's not really dying, but when they cross and come back, they also, it's like it is true, reawaken all this light, all this gift of this sense of blessings. And both of them has told me that they share that with everybody, but they also, when I talk to them in private, they have told me that this unconditional feeling of love, peace, and beauty, that it doesn't compare to nothing in there, absolutely nothing. And it's this love, period, this love, this divine love, and it's like you're back home. I mean, home is when your heart is, but this is legit home, as in home. And in the case of Debbie, she was telling me that she wanted to stay there. She didn't want it to come back, but she made an agreement that before the car accident happened, that she wanted to do the work of God. So she was able to come back, but she told me that if she had a choice, she probably will stay there because there is a peace that you can even imagine. I'm not devaluing the purpose and the value of living in Earth. We grow and expand here. But one of the, she told me, it's that not everybody has to die. Generally, you don't need to die to pass through the reawakening, to the reconnection. When you meditate, when your imagination, it's the language of your soul, literally. So if you go with your imagination in deep meditation, you can go, when you visualize the library records or the Akashic record or the energy field or your favorite place, your favorite garden or the healing ward, healing, like that's real. That's how heaven feels like. The more deeper you go to these meditation spaces where you can actually feel like you are there, it's like reconnecting to yourself, going, basically you're going back to this dimension without the need to put in your body through the stress of dying. I feel a little bit like Lisa, I probably don't want to get a near-death experience because of the physical trauma that might happen to your body, and probably I will not come back as well, but please leave me here. Yeah, but it is true. It's a gift that most of the people who have that experience is because they come back to remind others that life is a gift, it's temporary, and there is more beyond that. Our life continue in the other side, and you can access this gift, you can access this love without having to pass through the trauma, and you can reawaken your gift. I'm going to leave the link in the chat if you ever wanted to see the YouTube of interview of Debbie, if you want.
Great. And I want to mention, Lisa, just in case you didn't see, one of our practitioners in the audience has studied it for years. So I connect with Daniel offline. Yeah, great. Yeah. Are there examples of people that go through NDEs and don't open? There probably are some people that just are really stubborn and refuse.
Oh, yeah. It's
That
sad.
was Debbie. She didn't want to come back at all, but she have to be explained to her. She make an agreement, and that's why the angels. It's a beautiful message. I don't want to spoil it for nobody, so I just leave the link in the YouTube channel. Come back.
Yeah, like
Also, my older sister, the spiritual sister, were like so close together. Her mom died after giving birth to her for a week. No, not died. She was in a coma for 1 week. And after the week, because she gave birth when she was almost in his 50s, that was too risky for her to give birth, but she didn't have a child. She generally wanted to have a child. So her mom was in a coma, and when she came back, she was asking for this beautiful lady. Where is the nurse, the blonde nurse, the beautiful nurse? That didn't exist at all in the floor. The doctor explained to her that she was in a coma, and she was basically, they thought that she was genuinely going to die. But she remembered this beautiful nurse and these nice people taking care of her through the week. Like and I remember her telling us that she said that she needed to come back, wake up, because her baby needed her. And yeah, she came back, or they sent her back so she could take care of Letty, my older sister, because Letty's dad was passing through some challenges and addictions, and her mom was the opposite. So they felt like it was for the higher purpose of letting to don't grow up with that dad, to be with her mom. She really needed that mom. Otherwise, her soul path would go to different direction. So yeah, sometimes you just don't want to come back because you feel so home. You generally feel like home, but if there is like a higher purpose or something, you will have to come back. But it's not forced though. It's something that you have to remember within you. They help you to remember that.
Yeah. No, I know about NDEs and walk-ins, where walk-ins usually happen around NDEs, although they don't have to. So a walk-in being the rare event, right, where the soul, it can't fulfill its purpose the way it was intending. So the soul leaves and another soul comes in so that the body and the life can be used for something else.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. I didn't know what that was exactly. So thank you.
Yeah. You're saying a walk-in?
Yeah. I've known a couple of people who said they were walk-ins, and I'm like,
I've heard of a couple of different kinds of walk-ins. Someone was talking about a different type, but that's the general type that I know of. It's where one soul leaves and another soul comes in. The idea is, the story that I know is it takes about 7 years to integrate. So I've seen people in the 5 to 8 years it takes to integrate, because they have memories of this life. They have the physical capacity of this life. They think they should have the skills that they used to have, and they don't, because their soul is different. Sometimes it's related, it's confusing. So finding their way. Yeah.
So how do you know if you are a walk-in?
Well, when my eye can tell is I can see it in people's eyes. I can see it in the photos from before and after. And then just talking to them about their experience and what they went through, it sounds like it's similar to what others have gone through, and that confusion. That's one way to find that that's what it is. So often people feel some relief to realize what happened and what went on.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
Interesting.
know one person that went through two in their life. They did one as a child and one maybe in their, I remember probably in his 30s. So to have one life go through that twice, wow. That one person that when I was studying with my teacher, she was willing to let us go through her story extensively, and so we took notes. I was sitting there typing. My teacher was asking her questions, and she was like parachuting or something like that. And some of the people on the trip didn't make it, and yeah, so she made it, but was injured, and yeah, it was a mess.
So
And
did I
energies were
did I
very
hear you?
similar. Huh?
So I'm not sure if I heard. So was she a walk-in
What's the word?
during
Not
that
parachute.
experience?
What's it called? That parachuting. What's it called when you jump out of an airplane and you? Is
Parachute.
that the right? Is parachuting? Yeah. So
Yeah.
she was on a parachuting trip, and something went wrong, and some of the other people I know didn't make it, and she went down, but somehow didn't land in the place she was intending. I don't remember quite what it was, but she was she was injured, and so there's some physical recovery, but yeah. So she's a walk-in. So she was sharing about this in her 50s. I was just taking notes about her stories. We talked with her for hours. They're writing down so much of her experience of what happened that she remembered then, and just the period of the years, because I think she had been at least 6 or 8-ish years since then. So we had the whole trajectory of this period of time. I feel like she was still kind of coming out of it. She still wasn't sorted. Maybe it was somewhere around 7 or 8 years. Yeah.
So her
And I guess let me just say, so in terms of the way I read eyes, like, so her talents before were inspiration, creativity, and knowledge. And then the new energy was inspiration, creativity, and love. So it was very similar, except she thought that she'd be able to hold on to all of this content and data and all kinds of things that she used to, and she couldn't. And it wasn't just simply like a head injury and that her brain didn't work the same way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
that was going to be my next question. You know, how many brain injuries are really walk-ins, right?
Right. Could be some. Yeah. DoveLight's got something to share about this. Go ahead.
Fascinating.
Usually when there is a walk-in, no, it doesn't happen all the time, but they will come back to visit their loved one. So if there is, so usually their loved one will dream with the same person, but wait, like, and they will feel like they're reconnected with somebody. I know a case that the husband saw the soul of his wife outside the wife's body. He was sleeping next to the wife, and he saw the soul of the wife coming, and he was touching his head, and he didn't understand, why are you here if you're still here, like, you know. So that was like a confirmation that she was a walk-in. And but I usually feel like you will dream or have this feeling like that you are reconnecting with somebody, but you don't understand why you're reconnecting with somebody if that person is already here. I mean, it's a little bit of a clue that I've been able to encounter. Of course, there must be more. This is a very interesting topic.
Yeah. Oh. And Andrea, who asked the question earlier, shared something too about, yeah, her niece that was shot and thought she was going to die. Yeah. Yeah, that it's not the same as losing a life, but my mom had a really bad accident when I was a kid too, and they told her she would lose her arm, and she was like, she's nice and stubborn. I appreciate that I got some of the stubbornness from her. She was just like, no way. And anyone that met her would never tell that she had the accident. You know, she used her arm so well. So yeah, that's part of that's a comment on medicine, just like Tammi's story. Yeah, the way Western medicine is practiced sometimes.
Oh, can I say something about the topic that I wanted to mention? But
Yeah.
there was one case when my elder went to this house with another person, but in this house there was a woman who used to live here who died from cancer. She used to sit all the time in the same chair because she could not move. So what happened is when my elder came, they asked her to clear the house. And the person next to her, oh, it was a friend of the house. Okay, I remember now, it's a friend of, and she didn't know anything about spirituality or shamanism. You know, she was just there to open the door, you know, because she got the keys and all that. And she sat in that chair. She sat in that chair. And our elder always shared this story with us, because what happened to this later is immediately she grew physically like a big bump, almost like a big ball, like a tumor, like a cyst, just by sitting that. And we usually do the cleaning or the cutting of heavy energy with the obsidian knife. And she was telling me we do it outside the body. This is the only time that she told me that she really felt like she literally have to physically touch it with the obsidian knife. And she cut that cyst, that big ball, and it's kind of like boom, explode. And when she saw it, there was nothing. There was literally a little line of because she never touched people directly like that, you know, or she's not a licensed doctor, she understands that. But that ball formed because she sat, well, she wasn't aware. When you go to somebody's house, you should just not sit there, especially if somebody died. But what happened, because the energy was so concentrated in that chair, the chair was imbued with the person's sickness and whatever the person heavy thoughts were thinking, that this person just sat and attached to her body. Like it was not a soul or a negative, it was just the energy, stagnation of energy. So I feel like I'm sharing this because we need to be mindful also about the clearing of our objects, you know, and it's related to cooking too. When you're cooking, you have to be mindful of the energy that you're putting when you're cooking, because it's gonna be inside your body and you're gonna share with people. This is not about being perfect or happy all the time. It's just to be mindful. How are we doing things and what we're doing with our energy?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Raquel, what did you want to share?
Yeah. Wow. Probably about 15 years ago, I realized I have to say, after leaving home at 15, the best job that I could have ever had was taking care of companion one-on-one with seniors. And they were always like 99, 88. And I was so close to them because a lot of times I lived with them for like 5 days a week. And then I would, you know, go home on the weekends. It was such a loving relationship. But when they decided to leave this earth, and I actually can feel them coming through my body. And it starts at the beginning of my toes and it goes all the way to the top of my head. And it happened once, and then it happened 3 times, and then it happened 4 times. So I actually can feel it when death is leaving this earth. And it's such a beautiful experience. When my father passed about 3 years ago, the doctors and the chaplain and everybody was on the line, and on the phone talking with me and my mother, and I knew I needed to hold space for her. I knew that. And she didn't, you know, she kind of hung up really quickly after we were on the line for probably about 10 minutes or so. And then everyone was asking and were concerned about me and worried about me and wanting me to know that, you know, they had to, you know, if I needed anything, that they would be there for me. And I just said, when my dad decides to leave this earth, I give him a week. It's almost if he was talking to me way before, like 2 weeks before, and saying he was ready to go. He was just speaking to me and he wanted to let me know that. And at 5:23, I felt my father leave this earth. And when I called to the doctors, they were all wondering why I hadn't answered my phone. Well, I was knocked out. I was in dreamland, and I didn't get the messages until around 8 o'clock that day. And everyone was saying, and I asked the doctor. So yeah, so that's the gift, you know, when we can feel life coming in this earth and life leave. That's that. Talk about magic. Talk about the magic. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. And when anyone's pregnant, I know when you're having a baby too.
These are examples of like energy and magic and layers of energy and magic and how subtly like open and sensitive we are.
We're so connected. It's so amazing. Thank you.
Go ahead,
I'd
Viana.
like to,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd like to share, in the 90s, I can't remember exactly what year it was. I was so desolate. I mean, yeah, my life was horrible, and I was thinking, I just don't want to be here. And I remember standing in the shower of the swimming pool, just going, oh God. And I got in the pool and I started swimming, doing my lap swims. And all of a sudden I felt myself totally surrounded by my guardian angel. It was like if it was wings, I just felt like the wings were completely around me, and they just stayed around me the whole time while I was swimming. And when I got out, I was totally different. It was like, why did I ever think that? And I would just felt full of life, and I was so grateful, so grateful. Things like that have happened to me, many times. But when my father died, he had Alzheimer's, and there was a little part of him in me. He had put a little part of himself in me, which I didn't realize. And this person that I knew said, you need to let that go so that he can cross over, because he won't be able to cross over because he had put this part in me to help him stay alive. And so I remember feeling, once I just said, okay, and asked for the help, then I remember once he left, and it was fascinating how I felt afterwards, because that had been with me for so long. And I thought, oh my God, who am I? It's like,
You mean like, who are you without that, or which way do you mean?
yeah. Who am I now? Because I didn't know, and that he had managed to do that, and I didn't know that, but I knew I was so strongly connected to him, and that gave me the information of why.
Yeah. Oh.
So many stories.
Mm-hmm. Well, I put information in the chat if anyone wants to share feedback about today. And we're just getting to the end of our time. This has been a really fun discussion today. Yeah. Talking about imbuing the energy and magic and all the different layers that we might touch on. Well, let's see. So I'm going to put information in the chat again on all the practitioners and upcoming events. And then let's go around to everyone and share again about who we are and what we do and how people can get in touch with us. So does anyone want to jump in and go first? Go ahead, Lisa.
Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us tonight. This was a lovely chat. I could sit here all night talking NDEs and angels and spirit guides. As I mentioned, I mentor mystics, whether you're just peeking out of the spiritual closet or starting your business to co-create your magic. And with over 30 years of business experience, I've designed and built several hundred products over the years, selling them worldwide for my brick and mortar shop and online. My work has been featured in major news stations and movies. I've also authored several articles found in industry publications, all co-creating with spirit. I use this experience to help you brand your magic, build product lines, package your services to weather all storms, and to market yourself in a feel-good way without the use of sorcery. We can work together several ways. I've got done for you, done with you, and do-it-yourself services and product programs. We can work one-on-one with intuitive readings and consulting. And I've also got live workshops and on-demand courses that can meet you where you are. So if you want to learn more about how to set up your business, sell your product, share your message with the world, you can find that there. And I also have design services. So I design websites, logos, and products. And I invite you to download the free Map and Plan Your Magical Business Guide. It's a budget-friendly business strategy planner to help chart your strategy and tactics as you grow your personal brand. You can find this and more at cocreatemagic.com. And also, I've got the special on both my personal and comprehensive business planners in the chat. So go check that out and stay magical.
Thanks, Lisa. Who else wants to jump in and share? Practitioners on the panel. Someone's got to jump in. Raquel.
I'll jump in. Oh, okay.
We can't hear you well.
Oh, I am so I need to talk. Well, I'm just so happy that everyone came today. I'm just so happy that, you know, we're all sharing this magical journey together. If you want to know anything about my journey, you can find more information on my website, justbetoday.com. And at this time, I walk with people as they're discovering their true essence of who they are. And I have a 6-week moment where I will walk with you, you know, and I call it awakening to your magic within you. And each week will be something different. You know, we'll do Reiki, opening up your chakras. We'll do the tap into I am, do a vision board. I will have a special guest that will come every day, every week, once a week, and do sound healing. That will be so beautiful to experience, to really open up your chakras. I do Akashic records reading, so you can tap in and bring in all of your magic, all of your treasures, bring them forward and walk on this earth now to live the life that you came here to live, and live on purpose, with a purpose, for a purpose. So I want to say thank you, and yeah, just visit my website, and if you have any questions, you can email me at authorraquel@gmail.com if you have any questions about your spiritual journey. You want to tap in, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raquel. Who else wants to share? Viana.
Well, I came out of the psychic closet last fall. I mean, I've been doing this kind of work, like I said, for 46 years, but, you know, just with my clients. And so I've never really, it just was part of who I am. And so now I'm starting to talk about it and explore it, and I haven't a clue how to market it. And because I was working in a whole different way. It was always hands-on, in person, you know, and I would use all of my magic and everything. But when you go to my website, you're not going to hear about all the subtle beings. You're going to hear about my movement practice, how I teach people how to move and reconnect to their body, and you're going to hear about my meditation practice. And I have to go back and look at my website and see if I've said anything about that. But you know, I'm a work in progress. And so if if you want to talk to me, my phone number is in my website, Viana-motion.com. And I love to teach people how to be their authentic self with all of the different ways that I've learned over the years.
It's great. Thank you, Viana. We're all on a
Thank you.
journey,
Yeah.
peeling back layers and revealing layers of who we are and our gifts. Who else wants to share?
I can go. Thank you so very much for tonight, everyone. I'm Anissa Jade. I do intuitive imagery reading and animal communication, and I can be found at anissajade.com. Short and sweet.
Thanks, Anissa. Who else wants to share? There's still a couple of you.
I will share. I'm Tammi Morrison, and you can Google me. Once you Google me, you can find me everywhere. I actually Google myself. But I do, I like to do healing work, but I also do readings. Right now I'm also doing them at Vision Quest in Everett. On the 4th Saturday, I do readings, and the 4th Sunday, I host a sister circle, which I just hosted the first one that I've done in a while. But I do a sister circle. I think it's we're gonna do it 1 to 3 because we did it 1 to 2:30. And we really needed a little bit more time. So I asked if we could do 2 hours because I don't want to rush the people through, what they have to say, even though, you want to give them limits. But it was so much because so many people are craving community. And so many people are out there. And I say women, but I mean every people that identify as women, that's where I'm at. But it's amazing because when I've done these circles, they take on a life of their own. Like I have a guideline that I want to do for it because I've actually done the sister circle stuff, and I've been doing them. I did them in Tucson, so I did them before I moved here. But it was just amazing, and they take on a life of their own, and they kind of guide themselves, which is amazing to me. So I didn't want to put it in a box. I wanted it to be open so that people can have the experiences that they needed to have in the circle. But yeah, so I do that. And I also do my own particular healing work. I do it on Zoom right now. I'm looking for some place to do it in person as well, which I have a lead on a few places. But right now I do it on Zoom. And I absolutely love helping people, especially coming from religion, because I know how that is, into spirituality, because it's a shift is what it is. There are lots of similarities and lots of things that are the same, different terminology and all this kind of stuff, but it's a whole mindset shift, because you're coming out of something that you've been manipulated and brainwashed typically into open spirituality where it is free and where God is big and huge and not small and in a box and handicapped is what I say. So that's my show. And you can, like I said, you can find me, you can Google me, and I'm everywhere. My email is tammy.unleashingyourtrueself@outlook.com. I also have a special in here as well that I'm doing on an Unleashed Spirit experience. So if that's something that you're looking at, reach out.
And we're looking forward to having you on our panel on Friday, April 7th, Breaking Free from Religious Trauma. Yeah, it's great.
Looking forward to that too.
Yeah. And I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach, and matchmaker. You can find out more about my work at intuitiveeyereading.com and matchmakingsoulmates.com. And then we're going to have one of our audience members come in and share briefly. G, if you want to just unmute and share about the benefit concert that you're running tomorrow.
Thank you so much for receiving and accepting my request. So, short story in a shorter-ish way. My best friend from basically birth is moving from the PNW across the country We've had a few times in our lives where we've lived further apart, but they've had a lot of challenges to be able to make that for them and their spouse, and who's used to be in the Navy, and then also their cat. So I'm just kind of like wanting to raise a little bit of funds for their move. And then in addition, just Ukraine's been in my heart really big. So AJ picked a date like a week or two ago, not even. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just see if I can make it work. And so I threw together this sort of last minute benefit concert. And it's like one of my first times like performing a whole solo set where I'm kind of the headliner. So I'm a little excited. I'm not new to performing, but it will definitely be a unique experience for me. And I would say music was kind of my first language in a sense. And so I'm just kind of playing some original, some covers, just kind of as sort of a love song to the universe. So it will be at Artisans Books and Coffee in Everett. Doors are at 6 p.m., shows at 6:30. It is free, so just if you don't feel like you have anything to give right now, but you can show up, that is support to me. And I would appreciate any of that at all. But yeah, there will be someone at the door that is collecting donations that will be going to those causes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. So that's Friday, March 31 at 6 p.m. in Everett. And it says here singing, piano, guitar. So are you the only person performing? Are there other people doing it with you?
I'm probably going to be the only one in performance. Somebody else that I talked about having there is under the weather, but unless somebody's singing a song with me last minute or playing some percussion, it is like a solo kind of show.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. We're happy to have you part of the community and happy to share about other things going on. And just all of you probably know, like Alchemy Fair is up in Everett on Saturday. So all kinds of things happening up in Everett. All right, great. And MeWe Fairs, we have our online fair on Saturday night. So that'll be 5 to 9 p.m. here online. Sunday, April 2 is our practice circle, 12:33. We can practice your gifts, whatever they are. We have a number of our practitioners that are coming to support the experience. Breaking Free from Religious Trauma, Friday, April 7. Anything and Everything Intuition Training Panel on Saturday, April 8. So if you are someone, you know someone that's wanting to get practice being on a panel and sharing in front of an audience, we've got support for that. And in-person fairs, we're taking a little bit of a break as I'm traveling down to Rasani Fair in Oregon. That's the largest fair in Oregon. And then we also have the BEPC Expo coming here in April 22, 23 in the Seattle area. And then MeWe will be in Eugene in May, 6, 7. In Portland again, June 3, 4, and Linwood, June 10 and 11. We just had our largest fairs ever. We've had now, I've lost track. We had over 90 in Bellevue, and then we had over 100 in Linwood, and then we had, how many did we have in the end? Somewhere around 80, mid 80s again in Portland last weekend. So yeah, lots going on here at MeWe Fairs. Oh yeah, thank you everyone for being part of the community, connecting close by and far away, and we're all very, very close energetically. So great being all together. Thank you, everyone, panelists, for being here. Thank you, those of you that asked questions and playing in energy and magic together.